All right, so let's talk about this ship right here. I've been seeing way too many people who are getting this out of crate. I've seen probably a half dozen people who got this out of crate within the last week, um, playing it. And obviously, when you first get it, whether it's black or black B, right here it's going to say no commander. Up here, obviously those four booster flags you're not going to have. You'll have your camo depending on which one it is, the black or black B. The crimson flag you won't have. And then this is how you're going to see it as well. Now, I've seen probably three out of these half dozen players, okay, they're running the fan. And I think what it is they're not, they're brand new or very fairly new to the game. And they don't realize that you have to hit X or A, okay, go to this, and then see where it's highlighted right there? You switch this over to radar, okay? Do not run this. The whole point of this ship, okay, it's a one trick pony, really, is to run this, okay? And when I mean one trick pony, I'm also seeing people running Gleaves, okay? My Gleaves is 15-1. All right, let's just put him on real quick just to show you. And that boosts the torpedoes up to 14.4, 47 knot torps, okay? Just to give that into perspective, these are probably the slowest torps in the game. Okay, your grandmother on her walker can get around these torps at how slow they're going. Okay, especially if you're sending them at max range, because it might look pretty skinny, when you send them off. But by the time they get out there, a freaking battleship broadside can fit through it. Okay, it don't send your torpedoes at 14.4 max range because they're chances are they're probably not going to hit anything. And then you see the damage. Obviously, they hit like a freaking Mack truck. Um, but this is a torpedo. This is a gunboat. This is not a torpedo boat. And honestly, there's very few U.S. destroyers, okay, that could be classified or you'd want to buff the torpedoes. Okay, I've got quite a few up here. Hill, Nicholas, um, Benham. Uh, I want to say Charles Hughes can be argued for. Let me look. I mean, not really. You're still going to be sub a minute and a half reload, and there's still 64 knots at 6.4. And let's just throw Glees on. It's a 15-1 Glees, but you get a perspective. I mean, those would get up to 6.8, 6.9, something like that. Maybe 70 knots. Reload would probably be about 80, so a minute and a half. It's not worth it, dude. Like, just run it like it's supposed to be. It's a gunboat, and I've always ran Halsey. Okay, I upgraded Halsey way back when before Arleigh Burke and the couple others. I don't remember them all, but they got this glass cannon buff, where they buff this skill here. Um, so I might honestly consider running Arleigh Burke now that this is the option. I mean, only on some of them with higher HP pools because yeah, I mean it's not a Kaba. It doesn't have 30,000 freaking health. It's not an Elbing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'd have to play around with it. But back to the main point of this video. Okay, this is a gunboat. Okay, it's a one trick pony. You go into the cap, go a little ways into the cap, all right, and like turn away or tuck up behind an island, something along those lines. And as soon as you see that cap contested, you smoke up and you hit your radar, and then you gun down whatever is contesting the cap. Okay, maybe you don't kill it, maybe you do, but don't just sit in your smoke either. Okay, you have to be kind of angled to the point where you can get out of there if they send torps at that smoke screen. And guess what? They're gonna send torps at that smoke screen. It's almost a given. Cruisers will send torps to that smoke screen if they can. But this is the gunboat, okay? Majority of your U.S. destroyers are gunboats. Okay, essentially, you drop one rack of your torpedoes through a channel if they've got the range, and you leave them. You don't. I mean, it's an area of denial. You're not really focusing on hitting anything. Sometimes you get lucky and you'll hit like a DD or a cruiser sailing through that channel. Like gearing. I've seen people running gleaves on gearing. Gearing's torps with Halsey are 16.5 kilometers. Okay, you don't need more range than that. 16.5 is ridiculous. And like I said, by the time they get to that 16.5, they're spread out to where a freaking battleship can sit through them broadside. Okay, it's pointless to send your torps at max range. Don't. It's rarely ever do you want to do that unless you're Shima and you got like a 28,000 damage. And even then, one torp, on a 70, 80,000 battleship, it's a quarter of their damage. It's not even, worth it. Um, but back to what I was saying, these are gunboats, okay? They're strictly gunboats. You want to buff the guns. You want to be strong at the guns. You want to hunt DDs. Or like I said, if I'm thinking about considering upgrading Arleigh Burke and kind of, you know, running it as like a freaking Kaba until I lose a certain amount of health, and then I'll run in my smoke and do it that way. That's honestly what I'm thinking about doing. I don't know. I might get flack for that, but I'm gonna try it. Um, but essentially, Halsey was your best bet before the glass cannon buff, and Gleaves is your best bet for your torpedo buffs. And I would not run torpedoes, even on tier 7 and up. Even with these, excuse me, even with this mod, it's. I mean, you can still get them maybe just below like a minute and a half. It's not worth it. Like it's pointless to try to run it as a torpedo boat because you're negating the guns. I mean, its strong suit is the guns, and like on my Gleaves, because I run it at tier 4. Which ones? Tier 5 is tier 6 is the highest. You know, I run the excessive 13,410, which is not great. So I honestly might run Sims as inspiration, but I run the fragile threat. I mean, you lose 10% of your health, but it's torpedo boat. Like you're essentially trying to torpedo and get the hell out of Dodge. That's basically what you're doing. I mean, you can gun a few things down that are low health, but you're not really going to be dueling with other DDs. It's not advisable. Um, so like if you do that, obviously you lose 10% of your main battery. Like you do that on a black, that's pretty substantial. You want your guns to be buffed. Um, but yeah, I mean that's my rant for today. I'm not gonna name and shame anybody. I'm really just trying to use it as an educational tool to help people understand, you know, black as well as the U.S. destroyers. They're simply not really torpedo boats. I mean, if you even look at the branch info here, it says jack of all trades. They can perform in nearly any role needed for a destroyer, spotting the enemy, showering them with shells, fire starting shells, or unleashing torpedoes. Um, it even says disadvantages: lackluster torpedo armament, low velocity shells. Okay, but the advantages is effective main battery guns and long duration smoke generator. Um, you know, you might be one of those guys, well, it doesn't fit my play style. Well, your play style doesn't fit this boat, so pick a different boat. That's kind of my point on it. Um, yeah, I mean, play how you want. At the end of the day, play how you want, but you're really not being fully effective, especially if you're running the engine boost and not the radar. Because this is the only one of the U.S. destroyers that I know of that has a radar capability, and you want to use it. Okay, you want to use this. It's just that's what you want to do. It's a one trick pony, and there's a few one trick ponies out there, and this is one of them. But again, that's my 2 cents. That's my output, my input on things. Um, at the end of the day, play how you want, but I'm trying to help people understand. And honestly, your teammates probably despise you when they're seeing the things that I'm seeing. You know, that you're running the engine boost, that you're running gleaves. It's pointless, especially on black, because the torpedoes are so slow. You cannot get these torpedoes above 50 knots. I don't think. I mean, maybe with a couple inspirations, but even then, 50 knot torpedoes are damn slow. Like they're extremely slow. They're some of the slowest torpedoes in the game. So I'm gonna stop rambling. Y'all have a good day. Take it easy. Be safe.